described Sparta as the most racially pure state in history. Ancient Rome, he said, was the most mighty republic that ever existed. Athens, Sparta, Rome, Hitler said. If we can create a synthesis of the three, our state will never perish.
Auf einer Frontbreite von 2400 Kilometern vollzieht sich der größte Aufmarsch, den die Geschichte bisher gesehen hat. Die besten Soldaten der Welt sind zum Schutze der Kultur gegen die Barbarei angetreten.
On June 22nd, Hitler attacks the Soviet Union. But failing to crush England, he thrust Germany into a two-front war. A few weeks later, Hitler can inspect occupied Russian territory.
Unter uns Minsk. Hier tobte eine der größten Material- und Umfassungsschlachten der Weltgeschichte. Fast 350.000 Gefangene fielen allein hier in unserer Hand. Die jüdische Bevölkerung Baltis wird in Sammellager gebracht. Das sind jene Ostjudentypen, die besonders nach dem Weltkriege die Großstädte Mittel- und Westeuropas überschwemmten, wo sie als Parasiten ihre Gastvölker zersetzten und tausendjährige Kulturen zu vernichten drohten.
I feel like the Robert Koch of politics, says Hitler. He discovered a microbe and broke new ground for medicine. I have exposed the Jew as the microbe that subverts society. The Great German Art Exhibit, July 1941. For the first time, Hitler has no time to attend the opening. He has made his choices beforehand, buying 121 works. The attack on the USSR inspires Hitler to a new art initiative, an organization for war art. Artists will depict the Eastern Offensive firsthand from the front. Lütpold Adam, painter and leader of the project, intended not only to paint the dreadful side of war, but the homely and poetic moments that should be made accessible to the German people. While German troops advance across Russia's vastness, Germany's largest sculptor's studio is alive with frenetic activity. Joseph Thorak is working on a sculpture in monumental format, destined for the party's rally grounds in Nuremberg. On an area of 16.5 square kilometers, an ideological landscape consisting of oak woods, travertine, and granite was to take shape. For the yearly party rallies, arenas were built to hold millions of people. In conjunction with their planning of a Zeppelin field in 1934, Speer and Hitler developed the so-called ruins principle, according to which important buildings would be constructed so that in the distant future they would collapse into picturesque ruins. Construction methods and building materials were discussed, and Speer made sketches depicting the buildings in ruins overgrown with ivy. The 360-meter-long tribune on the Zeppelin field was inspired by the altar at Pergamon. The Congress Hall was inspired by the Colosseum in Rome. On the march field, with room for 500,000 spectators, the armed forces would demonstrate war games. Joseph Thorak's huge statue would stand above the tribune's reviewing dais. Along a 90-meter-wide granite street, columns of 60 men across would parade on the march field. On the site of the German stadium, excavation was in full swing. This sports arena was to contain 400,000 people and be the grandest construction of its type in history. Even before he seized power, Hitler claimed this area as historic ground. On a visit here in 1930, he declared ceremoniously, "If here in the distant future archaeologists should delve the earth and strike granite beneath, let them stand bareheaded before the glorious revelation of an idea that shook the world." Hitler calculated that the Soviet Union would be beaten in 4 months and that the majority of Russians would side with the Germans, thus hastening the Russian collapse. But he also had other objectives which were incompatible with this idea and seriously jeopardized his plans. His plans for enslavement and genocide influenced the war at an early stage. The projected Eastern Offensive bore all the earmarks of colonial warfare, as if the war was to be fought against some technologically benighted exotics. But one wonders if Hitler's fixation on antiquity didn't influence his strategy and his war objectives. His plans to enslave neighbors no less civilized or technologically advanced, or to wipe them out, to displace vast hordes of people and reduce whole cities to ashes, transposed the war's objectives back several thousand years in time. The ghosts of ancient wars seem to haunt Hitler's modern war machine. An ultra-modern war with ancient war objectives. This pattern calls to mind antiquity's wars of annihilation, the Punic Wars, the destruction of Carthage. Victory was not enough. The goal was to invalidate the enemy's raison d'etre through annihilation of his cities and people. Here we must revert to ancient principles. The city must be leveled with the earth, said Hitler of Leningrad. He had similar plans for Moscow, so that the Russian capital might be erased from memory. A gigantic dam would be erected on its former site. Enslaving the enemy was a classical method of acquiring manpower. The Nazis applied this method systematically to a degree unparalleled in modern times.